everybody, and welcome to this media conference to preview tomorrow's UEFA Nations League fixture against Germany at Wembley. We'll get underway firstly with Rob Dawson from Sky Sports News.
Look, this game's a dead rubber in terms of the Nations League, but with the run of form that England are on, and with the last game before the World Cup, does it feel like it's a massively more important game than it might appear on paper?
Yeah, it's firstly a really good test for us. Top level opposition, a full house at Wembley, so always we want to play well and send them home happy. And of course, in terms of the run of results that we've had, we want to leave there with more confidence. If you can get a win against Germany, then we'll leave the week feeling more positive than perhaps everybody is feeling at this moment in time.
Is there any room for experimentation for you now? Or is on the basis of what you've just said, does that mean you've got to play your strongest team and desperately go out for a win?
I think we've always got to, firstly we've got to make sure 2 days between matches, so there's physical constraints on some things, and we've got to still look after the players. You know, the two-day turnarounds are not ideal, really. We, of course, have a squad of players that have a lot of caps between them. So, you know, we've still got to make sure that we're not wasting opportunities to have a look at things. But we are honing in on a World Cup, and we don't have any more matches after this. So there is a greater emphasis on trying to bed things down as much as we can.
You're obviously not going to see the players after this game until 7 days before your first game in the World Cup. How much do England's prospects between now and then rely on some of your key players getting more game time for their clubs?
Well, I spoke when we named the squad about there not being an ideal situation for some of the players at this moment in time. But I think there's so much football for them with their clubs, with European matches, with League Cup. That's putting aside possibility of injuries and changes in form within the clubs. So I'm confident our guys will get football, and you know, some probably will get more than we'd like in an ideal world. So there's a balance to all of that, really.
Raheem, can I turn to you if that's okay? Look, this run that England are on is such a contrast from where the squad's been in the last two major tournaments, and all the success you've had. What do you put it down to yourself, and is it something the players have discussed?
I wouldn't say I can put it down to anything. Like, you know, in football there's ups and downs, and I think, you know, over the last couple of years, you know, we've been, you know, on quite some good form, and it's one of those times that it's not quite going, you know, how we planned. In a lot of the games, individual performances hasn't been, you know, up to par, and, you know, me myself, I take responsibility for my performances. But as I said, it's not a time to panic. I think the game tomorrow is another opportunity to go out there and, you know, put a great show on for the fans, and take a step in the right direction. And you know, if we get that win, then we're in good stead.
You've had a very close relationship with the man on your right for a long time now, since you were very young. What do you make of the criticism that he's facing personally?
Yeah, I think we all know that's what comes with football and playing at the highest level. You know, you're right under the eye, and I think a lot of it has been unfair, but of course, that's the level that we're at with England. We're always, you know, under that pressure to win, and, you know, this small loss of form is not, as I keep saying, something that we need to panic about. I think we have a big opportunity coming up in the winter to go out there and show that what we can do again. And for what he's done since he's been in here, brought us to a semi and a final. It just shows the direction that we're going in. Yes, we're not at the level that we know we can be, but I still think we have positives to look at.
Gareth, similar one to you to end from me, if that's okay. A lot of the criticism since the Hungary defeat and since the Italy defeat has been directed your way personally. Does that hurt you? Does it cause you to doubt yourself in any way?
Look, I'm the manager, and the results haven't been at the level that we want and that we require. So no matter what job you have in football, that would be the case. Of course, with the national team, that noise is going to be even louder and more widespread, and I totally understand that. So Not hiding from that. It's a situation that we aren't enjoying, not winning football matches. But we have to keep doing the right things every day to keep improving the small bits of our performances that can make the difference. And if we approach every day in that manner and keep the standards high and the performances come, then eventually the results turn. And I don't think it's ever been any different in football.
So you don't doubt yourself, you don't change things, you don't think, okay, I'm a bit of introspection here.
No, look, I'm fortunate that I'm now sadly in my 50s. I've been in football 30 years. I've got, in one guise or other, I've been to 12 tournaments, whether that's working with these chaps or scouting, 7 or this will be my 7th as a player or a coach. So I've seen pretty much everything. I've seen the cycle of war with the media. I've seen absolute love-in. We're somewhere in the middle of that, or maybe not quite in the middle. So that's fascinating to observe from my side. And it's a life experience that I knew at some point would probably come with this job. So I have to accept that. I didn't ever get too carried away by what happened before. And I'm not too down about what's happening now. I want to put it right, of course. I want the team to win. I want the team to play well, and I want the fans to be happy. That's why I took the job. I wanted to make a difference with English football. So that will never change, and I'll keep working every hour I have to try and improve what we're doing.
Thanks, Rob. Alex Howell?
Hi, Gareth. Could I get a team news and fitness update, and particularly on Jordan Henderson? Will he be available for tomorrow?
Yeah, everybody with this is fit, so no issues unless I go back and the medics tell me otherwise.
The only player in the squad without a cap is Ivan Toney. He wasn't in the squad for the match against Italy. Will he be included tomorrow?
We'll have a think about that. We'll have a meeting with the coaches later. First and foremost, it's been great, I think, for him to be with us and to see how we work. Of course, everybody wants to get into the team and onto the pitch, but you've a better chance of doing that well when you've been with the group longer and you're used to how we play and you feel more comfortable with the other players. So, I think whatever happens tomorrow, this has been a useful exercise for him and for us. I remember I was in the stand for the first 2 international camps. They were a little bit shorter, but that was the way Terry Venables embedded me into the group. Sometimes we've done it that way, sometimes we haven't. I understand the push because we're so close to a World Cup, but also there is life for Ivan Toney beyond the World Cup as well, and he's very much in the frame, and what he does with his club between now and then is also really important.
So there's a chance he might not be, but it's also a longer term thinking as well.
Yeah, I think that's hopefully what I got across, yeah.
Do you take some comfort that it's not only England from the bigger nations who aren't picking up results? Spain and Germany losing, and France have only won 1 game so far in the Nations League.
It gives perspective, but it's not. It's not something that is my concern. That's my job is to get this team playing well and to get this team winning, and what everybody else is doing is irrelevant, really.
And to Raheem, do you think too much is being made about the lack of goals at the moment?
Not really. As I said, with the players that we have in the team and been producing for many years, of course it's not what we want at this moment in time. Of course not. If we don't score goals, we don't get results. It's as simple as that. So, but I think it will come in good stead. We don't have to panic. I keep saying. It's better for us to get out of the way now than in a tournament football. So I said we've got a big one tomorrow. Let's try and see if we can produce there and build from there.
Thanks, Alex. Carrie Brown?
Gareth, it's really interesting with the timing of going into this tournament. You've got players that are just starting the Premier League season, getting used to the systems that the managers want to introduce now, and you're going straight into a tournament. How much of this Nations League has been actually experimentation for you going into a World Cup, and how much has it been about getting key results?
Yeah, it's been a really complicated competition, both the last 2 times, because the previous one we took the players in the middle of their holiday. We played in Iceland and we played away in Denmark, and most of the guys had either had, I think they'd just finished the rearranged European finals and had had 1 week off, or they were in the middle of pre-season, they hadn't had any football. So that was also a really strange, and of course all behind closed doors matches and camps with COVID restrictions. And this one has been complicated in a different way. 4 matches at the end of a season. I've discussed all the ins and outs of that, so no point me going over that again. So yes, we have experimented. We needed to see certain players in the summer in particular to be able to make better judgments on the squad and starting positions, and also in the knowledge that we could lose players in the lead-in. You know, it's a very congested programme once we finish here, with the league and the Champions League in particular. So there is a high risk of injuries, I think, with that density of matches.
One Prime Minister once said in the House of Commons that the toughest job in this country is actually the England manager's job. You've made it look relatively easy of late. I think your most testing times, you talked about the criticism of heavy rotations against Belgium in the World Cup qualifying group, then of course deciding on your future after defeat in the European final. But we're talking about a route to the semi-final and ever World Cup and to the final. So in those tough moments, who did you go to, who did you draw on, and what were the most important things as a coach that steadied you to get your team once again to a climactic point?
Yeah, I think you draw on your experience, and you draw on people that are close to you, and perhaps other coaches that have worked at the level as well. You know, you're conscious that I'm not the first coach to go through a difficult time, and in terms of results and criticism, that is part of the territory. So for me, it's a great challenge to lead the team through a moment like this. You know, you're not going to have 6 years as we've had without a spell where you're going to have some tough results, and you've got to show the resilience to come through those moments.
And Raheem, for you, we've seen how much the England team grows when you're actually away at a tournament. Going into the World Cup, very few expectations on this team that grew into such a strong unit with your time away in Russia. And then on the back of the Nations League as well, going into the Euros, a team that just got stronger in depth. What is it that Gareth Southgate does away in a camp like that when he gets you for all that time? And what does that tell you about any fears that England could be the new Italy and may not struggle to push on again into this World Cup?
No, from the moment Gareth's come in, I think massively that's shifted in the group is the mentality. He's definitely changing the mentality of the group, and like anything, camps have been enjoyable. It doesn't feel like you're stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A lot of the boys are close, and as I keep saying, I keep going over it. It's been a tough period now, but I don't think any of the boys back over there on base now will be thinking that we don't have a good chance in the winter. That's the belief that we have as a group. Yes, of course, the results don't show that right now, but I'm still strongly in belief with the boys there that when we go over there in the winter, that we'll have a good one. That's for sure.
Don't write England off yet.
Pardon?
Don't write England off.
No. As I keep saying, there's no need to panic. Yes, these results are bad, but we've got good things to come.
Gareth shouldered a lot of the blame, or all of the blame, after that result. How much have you talked about in the dressing room and repaying that faith? Was there a bit of guilt, or do you just all know that you're working in the right direction and it will come?
Yeah, and I think since the manager's come in, that's all he's done for us. He's always tried to protect us. He's always tried to make the environment really calm for us, so we can go out there and do what we need to do on the football field. But of course, after the summer performances, we all came away from that, and we had to have a look at ourselves, and none of us were proud of the performance we put out. Me, myself personally, and I don't think it's for Gareth to shoulder all that blame. I think we've got players in there that's played at the highest level, and we need to take some of that responsibility as well and start to put these performances on the football field and win football matches, because that's as simple what we're here for. we're not a country that comes to try and partake. We want to win things, and it's for us as a group. As I said, we haven't just sat on it. We've been in there, and we've spoke as a collective, and I think we're in the right stead to make things right.
Do you think there is a sense with this World Cup coming so quickly, it is catching us all out, even though we knew it was coming, that having taken on your ideas at club, that there is a bit of it's a lot of change, and that when you get embedded in the camp, it's going to be a different situation?
Yeah, I think especially because it's mid-season that the World Cup comes now, and it's not something that we're all used to. So yeah, it's kind of a new thing for us. But as I keep saying, for us as a national team and a country, I don't think it's one that we need to panic about. We have a fresh start when we do go to the World Cup, and I know the boys have been in those scenarios before, and I know that we will come good.
And the criticism around Gareth's tactics is too one-dimensional, that he's not attacking enough. What's your thoughts on that?
I'll just say semi-final and a final, and we should be trying to, put positive messages out there to try and, spur the boys on again. As I said, with the performances, I get it, that why we're thinking like this at the minute, but I keep saying I don't think it's time to panic. He showed over the last couple of years what he brings to this team, and he's someone that all the boys trust, and someone that we all want to follow in his direction, and I don't think these last couple of games changes that narrative. I think the narrative needs to be that, can we go that one step ahead, and how are we going to do it, and try and build a positive, positive.
Thanks, Gary. Jack Brickbrook.
Gareth, you talked a lot about wanting to accept the criticism from supporters over the last few games and wanting to protect the players from any negativity coming their way. But are you worried that if you get abused tomorrow night, that some of that effect might filter through to the players and might affect them?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we've got 90,000 people. The stadium's sold out. People want to come and see this team play. So, and that's because the players have done an unbelievable job for 6 years. We were on the back of a really difficult time in terms of relationship with the fans at the start of that journey, and slowly we've built the finishes that have been discussed already in this room. So, of course, it's not healthy for the team to be having this noise around them. I fully understand that. But it's for me to take the responsibility. It's for me to allow them to go and play. I want them to feel the freedom. I think they know that we always talk about that within the training ground and on the training pitch. And yeah, I would urge the supporters to get behind the team. How they deal with me at the end or whenever on the phone-ins or whatever else is completely different. But this is their last chance to see the boys before they go to a World Cup, and we're all in it together. We can only succeed if we're all pushing in the same direction, and we've all got that positive energy towards doing well. What happens to me is irrelevant, frankly. It's about the team. The most important thing is the team and the success of the team.
Thanks, Joe. We've got two more. One here, and then we'll finish with Matt Reid at the back. Three more.
Hi, Gareth. You've spoken about missing a midfield pivot who can progress the ball forwards. How big a blow is it to the team having Calvin Phillips off injured? And at this stage, how likely is it that he will make it to the World Cup?
Well, I think you only have to see the quality of his performances for us and with Leeds to see, and the fact that he's now moved to a big club to see his level. He had a huge impact when he came into the squad and a massive part of the run to a European final. So the honest answer to the injury is we don't know. It's obviously going to be very tight because healing from that sort of operation is the first part, and the second part is whether there can be enough football once he's healed to being realistic consideration. So we're always optimistic. You when there's a target and somebody's really hungry to achieve it, it's amazing what the body can do. He had a dislocated shoulder in the last game of the season before the Euros, so that was a quite remarkable recovery in itself. We're just going to have to wait and see, and I know obviously from his point of view, he's disappointed to miss this camp, but he's fully focused on getting back for his club and then hopefully for us.
Thanks. You get the mic to our visitors from Germany there. And then we'll finish with Matt Reid.
So matches, it's Elke Büchter, I'm working for RTL Germany. Matches against Germany are always very emotional. The German team is heavily criticized too. Will you focus on one special player? Do you say one is the most dangerous, or is it the techniques, or do you say, okay, after Hungary, we see where we can and how we can beat the Germans?
Well, I think they have lots of very good players. I think Joshua Kimmich is fundamental to the team and the way they play. He organises the game for them and he reads the game so well. But they have a lot of World Cup winners, a lot of Champions League winners. So we know any game with Germany, they have that mentality and belief. And we've got to show that. You know, we've got to show that we have that same belief in ourselves. We don't have the same history to give us that belief, but we have the recent history in terms of this team and what they've achieved. And that's one of the big factors, I think, when you play Germany in any game.
Thank you. We'll finish with one from Matt Reid.
Raheem, comment pieces were written across Europe and across the world this year when you moved from Manchester City to Chelsea, and they were surprised that Manchester City would let a player of your quality go. You are so highly regarded across the planet. How confident are you that you can be a world star, underline that point, and be a star of this World Cup? And looking across the squad, how many players are there in the England squad and in the England team who can really, you know, nail their colours to the mast and underline the fact that they are capable of winning big games and, you know, being world stars?
I don't think it's really about being a world star. I think the most important thing is that collective performances out there, and of course you're going to need individuals to win your football matches, but I don't think to myself I want to go here and try to show myself to be a star. No, it's first and foremost the team needs to go and perform, because if the team don't perform, then I can't be in positions or have moments to win games for my team. So I'd say the answer to that question is definitely, I think we have definitely got players of that calibre that can win you football matches at any moment in time, but I think what's so good about us is the collective, and that's how it's always been, and that's how we'll keep going.
And just quickly, Gareth, there were some issues in the speed of transition in the game against Italy. How important is speeding up the transition from your fullbacks to your midfield and to your attacking players?
Yeah, we've highlighted that in the meeting since the game. Defences are so well organised. I mean, Italy were very strong defensively, and there was very little space for our forwards. So those turnovers and those transitions were very, very important. And on the night, we didn't exploit them as well as we need to. So it's definitely an area of the game that we've talked about. You don't have a lot of time on the training pitch following a match like that before tomorrow to work on those things. But it's an area we've highlighted and that we had worked on in the week leading into the first game.
Okay, everybody, we'll end it there. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.